My beloved child, you did not arrive here by chance. Heaven has watched every part of your journey, and today I am telling you that this season has carried enough pain. You have borne a weight that was never meant to remain on your shoulders forever. And now I am stepping in myself. Stay with me for a moment, because this message has reached you with purpose. I have seen every tear that fell when no one else knew you were hurting. Not one sigh escaped my notice, and not one silent prayer was forgotten. Today, before heaven and earth, I declare that the season of suffering you have carried has reached its end. I know you have wondered how much longer you could keep going, so listen carefully now, because I am already at work. Everything is beginning to shift. You were never forgotten, never overlooked, and your waiting was never an accident. I allowed the waiting, but today I am moving on your behalf. I speak to you as the one who knew you before your first breath and remained beside you through every battle no one else could see. I remember the moments when your strength gave out and your heart felt too weary to rise again. I heard the prayers you whispered when speaking them aloud felt too difficult, and I stayed beside you when every part of you wanted to give up. Even when you questioned your worth, your future, or whether I was near, you continued forward one breath at a time, and your faithfulness never escaped my attention. I was nearer than you realized. I was closer than your fear, closer than your doubts, holding you steady on the nights you believed you were holding yourself together alone. I saw the evenings when silence felt heavy against your heart, when you searched for meaning in delays that seemed endless, and tried to understand pain that made no sense to you. Hear me clearly, because this matters. Your suffering was never a punishment, and your tears were never signs of weakness. They became seeds planted in places you could not yet understand. I allowed the pressure to shape your heart rather than shatter it, preparing you for what could never have been entrusted to a heart that was still fragile. Now listen closely. The work of preparation has reached its purpose, and the refining has accomplished what it needed to accomplish. I will not allow this burden to remain after its purpose has been fulfilled. I am stepping into the places that have felt unmoving, and I am touching what has resisted change for so long. I am loosening what has held you back despite your faith and your perseverance. You may not recognize it with your eyes yet, but movement has already begun. What once seemed blocked is beginning to open, what appeared delayed is falling into place, and what felt impossible is yielding to my authority. When I decide the time has come, no power can reverse what I have spoken, and I always complete what I begin. I know how you learn to survive by staying quiet, by lowering your expectations, and by guarding your heart from disappointment. I understand why you did that, but now I am asking you to lift your eyes again, not because life will suddenly become perfect, but because you no longer have to carry this weight by yourself. The burden you have dragged through this season does not belong in the one ahead. Lay it down before me. Release the fear that keeps telling you nothing will ever change, and let go of the lie that says you have fallen behind or are unworthy of rest. I am restoring what has been taken from you, gently and faithfully, one breath, one moment, and one step at a time. You may have felt overlooked by people and misunderstood by circumstances, but heaven has never looked away from you. I marked your life during the waiting, guarded you through confusion, and protected you from outcomes you never even knew were possible, because I stood between you and harm. Some doors remained closed because they would have led you into deeper sorrow, and some paths ended suddenly because I was guiding you toward life instead. Trust me when I tell you that nothing you endured was wasted. Even the delays served a purpose. Even the losses became teachers. Even the silence quietly strengthened what was growing inside you. Now I speak peace into every place that has learned to expect disappointment, healing into the memories that still ache without warning, clarity where confusion has lingered, and hope where weariness tried to make its home. You do not have to force faith. Simply remain open to me. Allow me to accomplish what your own strength could never achieve, and let me carry what you have carried for far too long. I am not asking you to pretend that everything is fine. I am inviting you to come honestly before me and trust that my presence is enough. Do not dismiss this as just another message. I am reaching your heart now because it is ready in ways it could not have been before. Your struggles have made you tender, and your perseverance has made you stronger, and both matter in this moment. Stay present with me. Stay open. The change you have prayed for will not always arrive with great noise. Sometimes it comes as quietly as the first deep breath after a long night, or like the gentle return of light before you even realize the darkness has begun to fade. Type Amen. Jesus is the answer to all my needs. If he holds every answer in your life, then I also ask you to protect what I am doing within you. Not everyone will understand the changes that are unfolding, and not everyone needs to know every detail of what I am accomplishing. Guard your peace. Remain close to me. Listen with a heart that is willing to hear more than it speaks, and allow my work to reach its full completion. When the fruit of this season begins to appear, it will speak more clearly than any explanation ever could. You have nothing to prove to anyone because my approval is enough, and my timing is always exact. There may still be moments when fear tries to revisit old disappointments and convince you that nothing has truly changed. When those thoughts come, return to this truth. I am with you. I am not watching from a distance or waiting for you to become stronger before I draw near. I am present, actively guiding each step you take, even when you cannot yet see where the path is leading. Trust the next step I place before you. Faithfulness in what seems small today will open doors you once believed were closed forever. I am renewing your strength in ways that reach deeper than physical rest, restoring joy that is no longer dependent on changing circumstances. I am gently teaching your heart how to feel secure again, how to trust again, and how to receive again. What lies ahead will not mirror what you have left behind. You are not returning to the same patterns that once kept you trapped. You are walking into something new, something steady, something rooted in peace instead of mere survival. So breathe, my child. Let your shoulders grow lighter. Let your heart become still, and receive this moment without struggling against it or allowing doubt to steal it from you. I am here. I have always been here. As you continue forward, hold this with confidence. Heaven has brought this message to you for a reason, and I will remain with you through everything that comes next. Pause for a moment, my child. Yes, I am speaking to you. These words are not meant for those who simply pass by without listening. I interrupted your routine, your scrolling, your thoughts, and your plans, because this moment was prepared long before today began. Nothing about your being here is accidental. You did not arrive through chance, curiosity, or coincidence. I brought this before you because your heart has been longing for what your lips have struggled to express. Do not hurry past this moment or treat it as something ordinary. When I interrupt your day, it is because something eternal is reaching into your present, and I desire your full attention. I know how quickly your thoughts can move toward doubt, telling you this could not really be for you. I know how easily your mind searches for reasons to step away from what I am offering. So listen carefully. If you rush away now, you may later recognize that you walked past something your heart truly needed. This message is not intended for everyone who hears it. It is meant for you in this moment, for your season, your hidden questions, and the burdens you have carried without speaking aloud. Heaven's attention rests upon you now, and that alone reveals how significant this moment is. I am not far from you as I speak these words. I am nearer than your own breath. I see the tension you carry in your chest, the weight that lingers in your thoughts, and the weariness hidden behind the smile you offer everyone else. I know how often responsibility has kept you moving long after your strength was gone, and how disappointment taught you to protect your hope instead of expecting relief. Today I interrupt that pattern. Today I bring an end to a cycle of endless endurance without renewal. I am asking for more than a passing moment of your attention, because what I am about to place within your heart is meant to quiet the unrest you have carried for far too long. Perhaps you have wondered why these words feel different, or why something deep inside you responded before your mind could explain it. It is because my spirit is reaching the place within you that has quietly waited for reassurance, direction, and truth. The doubts that insist this cannot be personal, that heaven would never pause for you, do not come from me. I pause for my children. I speak when the moment matters, and I step in when silence has finished the work it was meant to accomplish. Silence has already done its work in you. It has taught you patience, endurance, and humility. Now I am leading you into a deeper trust, the kind that allows you to receive instead of simply surviving. Do not overlook the importance of this moment. I am not delaying these words, and I am not saving them for another time. This moment is now. Some changes require awareness before they become visible, and some instructions must be received before circumstances begin to shift. I know how tempting it is to tell yourself you will return later, when life feels quieter, or when you believe you are more prepared. But hear me clearly. Postponing this moment will not bring greater understanding. It will only allow confusion to remain longer. When I speak with urgency, it is because the timing matters, and your willingness to listen now will spare you unnecessary regret. If you would like to support this work of sharing encouragement and devotion to God, you may do so through the support link or QR code provided in the description. Your support helps make these messages available to others who may need them. I have seen everything you have carried without feeling able to explain it. I know how often you convinced yourself to stay strong because you believed there was no room to admit how exhausted you truly were. You learned to adjust, to adapt, and simply to endure, but endurance was never meant to become your permanent home. I have interrupted this moment because I want you to understand that what you are feeling is not weakness. It is a signal that your heart is ready for something new, something lighter, something more closely aligned with what I intended for you from the beginning. This interruption is an invitation to step out of automatic living and become aware of what I am doing right now. I also know that part of your heart remains cautious. You have been disappointed before. You have hoped before. You have listened before. When the answers did not come as quickly as you hoped, you learned to protect your heart by expecting less. I am not offended by that, because I understand why you did it. But today I am asking you to let my voice reach beyond those walls you built, beyond your reasoning, and beyond the skepticism that disappointment taught you. This is not about persuading your emotions. It is about drawing your heart back into trust, because your spirit recognizes my voice even when your mind hesitates, and that is why you are still here listening. Heaven has never lost sight of you. Heaven is never hurried, distracted, or uncertain about your life. I have seen every faithful step you took when no one noticed, every moment you chose restraint when reacting would have been easier, and every quiet act of faith you held on to while doubt surrounded you. Every one of those moments matters, and every one of them has led you here. This is not an ordinary pause. I have interrupted this moment with purpose, because you are about to need clarity, and clarity grows when you remain still enough to listen instead of rushing ahead. If something within you is drawing you to stay, recognize that for what it is. If another part of you wants to pull away, remember that fear of change often disguises itself as hesitation. Learn to recognize the difference. Discernment brings peace, even when it stretches your faith, while fear invents reasons to run. So remain here with me. Stay open, let this moment unfold naturally, and resist the urge to explain it away before it has time to settle in your heart. I am not placing more weight upon you. I am giving your soul a place to rest. You do not have to prove that you deserve this moment, and you do not have to earn my attention. You are here because I desired you to be here, and that alone is enough. I speak to you as my beloved child, never as someone who must be repaired before they can come close to me. I speak with authority because I know what lies ahead, and I speak with tenderness because I know what you have already carried. Both are held together in my heart. I called for your attention before other voices could fill your mind again, before distractions returned, and before doubt persuaded you that this moment meant nothing. But it does matter. This is the beginning of something quiet yet deeply intentional, the kind of beginning that gently changes your direction before you fully realize your path is shifted. One day you will look back and understand that this moment carried more significance than you could see while you were living it. So remain with me a little longer. Let your thoughts become still, and allow your heart to soften in my presence. You are not behind, and you have not arrived too late. You are exactly where you need to be to hear these words. Heaven is not rushing you forward, but heaven is watching with loving attention. Right now, all of heaven is witnessing this sacred moment as you draw near to me. Do not walk away. Do not allow doubt to steal what I am placing before you. Receive this moment, because this interruption has been given to you with purpose, and it opens the way for what comes next. My beloved child, I truly see you. I see far beyond the smile you offer when someone asks how you are. I see beyond the strength you keep displaying because stopping has felt impossible. I see the person beneath all of that. I see the exhaustion that has settled deep within you, the kind that sleep alone cannot relieve, and quiet moments cannot fully heal. I know how tired you have become in ways you have never found words to explain, because the weight has been too heavy to describe. You wake carrying yesterday before the day has even begun, and you lie down at night with your thoughts still refusing to rest, even when your body longs for peace. I remember the nights when sleep would not come. I was with you through every hour you stared into the darkness while your mind replayed conversations, regrets, fears, and questions that seemed to have no answers. I saw the moments when you wanted to pray, but felt too drained to find the words. Even your silent sighs reached me. Every tear that disappeared into your pillow was precious to me, and every lonely moment was shared because I never left your side. I also know the emotional weight you have carried. Disappointment came one after another, and hope often seemed to rise only to be wounded again. You trusted, and you were hurt. You opened your heart, and someone withdrew theirs. Sometimes betrayal arrived through broken promises. Sometimes it appeared in quiet distance, changed hearts, or the absence of the care you once knew. I heard every question you asked yourself about what had changed, and whether you had somehow done something wrong. I know the loneliness that found you even when you were surrounded by people. I know what it feels like to sit among others while quietly believing you are unseen, misunderstood, or easily replaced. You learned to hide behind the words, "I'm fine," because explaining the truth felt too heavy, and you never wanted to become a burden. But I knew how much that silence weighed upon your heart. I saw every moment you wished someone would notice without your asking, someone who would simply stay and care. I noticed. I cared. My eyes never turned away from you. I also see the weariness that settled over your spirit. I know what it feels like when prayers seem to disappear into silence, and faith begins to feel like effort instead of refuge. Still, you continued to come before me, even when your heart felt empty. You continued to believe while doubt whispered that nothing would change. You questioned whether I was listening, whether you had done something wrong, and whether your prayers still mattered. You even felt guilty for asking those questions, yet they continued to rise within you. Listen to me now. Your honesty never offended me, and your questions never pushed me away. I was never distant from your struggle. Faith that wrestles is still faith, because it is the faith that refuses to let go, even when the answers seem far away. I know what it has been like to bring the same prayers before me day after day, month after month, and sometimes year after year without seeing anything change. You waited, you obeyed, you trusted. Yet when the answers remained unseen, you began to wonder whether the silence itself was the answer. You questioned whether you had been forgotten, overlooked, or somehow left behind. You even wondered if your pain was too small to matter or too complicated to heal. My beloved child, I was never indifferent to your cries, and my heart never grew unmoved. My silence was neverthing around you to hear. Me senses and waiting has never been my rejection. I have seen what this season has carried into your body, the weight in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, and the exhaustion that lingered even when you tried to rest. I watched your strength slowly fade until even ordinary tasks felt heavier than they once did, and I saw how you kept pushing forward because stopping no longer felt safe. You told yourself that others were carrying greater burdens, that you should simply be grateful, and that your own pain did not deserve to be spoken aloud. But pain has never been something to compare, and exhaustion does not need permission before it becomes real. I never asked you to make your suffering smaller. I only wanted you to bring it to me. Right, amen? My hope is anchored in Christ alone. If your faith rests securely in Him, I know the moments when tears slipped down your face without a sound, and you wiped them away before anyone else could notice. I remember the times you sat alone, allowing yourself to break only long enough to catch another breath before gathering yourself together again. I heard every prayer whispered through tears, when all you could ask was for enough strength to keep going one more day, because you no longer knew how much strength remained. Every one of those prayers reached me. Every tear was precious to me. I know what it cost you to remain strong for everyone else while feeling empty inside. You carried responsibilities that left little room for your own weakness. You encouraged others while quietly needing encouragement yourself. You listened to everyone else's burdens while longing for someone to truly hear yours. You kept giving from a heart that already felt drained, and that quiet strength carried a greater cost than you realized. I saw the moments when you longed to rest but believed you could not. I saw the words you held back because you thought silence was expected of you. But I never asked you to suffer alone, and I never required you to hide your pain. I know the confusion that settled over you when doors closed without explanation, plans unraveled, and the future seemed uncertain. You tried to remain patient, you tried to trust me, yet fear quietly whispered that nothing would ever change and that this heaviness would become your permanent story. You lowered your expectations because it felt safer than hoping again. You reduced your dreams because disappointment had become familiar. You did those things to survive, but survival was never meant to be the final chapter of your life. Hear this deeply. Nothing about your pain ever surprised me, and nothing you endured escaped my attention. The weight you have carried was real. You were never exaggerating it, and you were never weak because of it. You endured far more than many people ever saw, and you continued with quiet faithfulness even while your heart was weary. I was present in every unseen moment, and every breath you drew when you wondered whether you could take another. You never had to explain your suffering for me to understand it. I already knew. I already understood. I already cared. I have done more than simply observe what you have lived through. I have remained with you in it. When you felt abandoned, I was near. When you felt misunderstood, I understood completely. When you had no strength left to carry the weight yourself, I was holding what your hands could no longer bear. You have never been invisible to me, and you have never been overlooked by heaven. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every betrayal and every tear you cried in solitude has been fully seen. You do not need to convince me how difficult this season has been, because I already know, and because I know, I speak to you now with compassion, with authority, and with love. You have been fully seen without having to explain yourself, and I remain with you as we continue forward together. My beloved child, I know the question that has quietly lived within your heart. You have asked it in exhaustion, through tears, in confusion, and even in moments of frustration that left you feeling guilty afterward. You have asked why. Why this pain? Why has this season lasted so long? Why did the silence remain when you cried out? Why did it seem as though I allowed you to carry more than you thought you could endure? Hear me carefully now, free from fear, shame, and misunderstanding. What you walked through was never punishment. It was never abandonment. It was never evidence that I had turned my face away from you or that you had failed me. I have never used suffering to punish you, nor have I ever withdrawn my love as a form of discipline. What I allowed because I was accomplishing something deeper than what you could yet see. Not everything I permit is something I delight in watching you endure, but everything I permit remains held within my purpose. I do not waste pain, and I never overlook tears. The silence you experienced was not emptiness. It was the quiet shelter of a process that required stillness, a work that could not be hurried or fully explained before its time. I know how silence can feel like rejection when your heart is hurting. I know how waiting can make you feel forgotten. But my silence was never indifference. It was filled with purpose. There are things I prepare in quiet that cannot be formed in noise, strengths that cannot grow through ease, and deeper trust that can only take root when certainty is absent. I was never watching from far away. I was closer than you realized, working beneath the surface and shaping what your eyes could not yet see. I was protecting you from paths that would have wounded you more deeply than the waiting ever could. I was guarding places within your heart that would have been harmed if answers had arrived too soon, or blessings had come before the proper time. You believed the delay meant you were unprepared or somehow unworthy. That was never true. What I have been preparing you for requires a depth of character, a discernment of heart, and a resilience that cannot be formed overnight. I was strengthening what could not be seen, so that when the time came for you to receive what had been prepared for you, it would not overwhelm you or lead you into confusion. I was teaching you how to stand without applause, how to trust without constant reassurance, and how to remain firmly rooted even when everything around you seemed uncertain. Those lessons were painful, but they were also powerful, and they were never intended to last forever. I know you wondered why others appeared to move ahead while you felt as though you were standing still. You questioned why doors opened so easily for them while yours remained closed, and you wondered if you had missed something, made a mistake, or simply waited too long. My child, your journey was never meant to mirror theirs. Comparison only deepened your pain because it drew your eyes away from the work I was doing within you. I was never delaying you in order to deny you. I was positioning you so that when your door opened, You would walk through it with peace instead of fear, and with clarity instead of desperation. I know this season felt like fire refining you, like pressure stretching you beyond your comfort. Refining is rarely gentle, growth is not always quiet, and preparation often feels like loss before it is recognized as blessing. I was removing what could never travel with you into the next season. I was loosening the things that would have limited you later, teaching you discernment through disappointment and wisdom through restraint. None of it was wasted. Even the moments that seemed to break you were quietly building a strength you had not yet discovered within yourself. You asked why I did not rescue you sooner, why I waited until the pain had become so deep before stepping in. Listen to me with an open heart. I intervene when the lesson has reached its purpose, when the heart is ready, and when the appointed time has arrived. Had this season ended too soon, you would have carried unresolved questions, unhealed wounds, and untested faith into what was waiting ahead. I love you too deeply to send you forward before you were ready. I remained with you until fear no longer controlled your steps, and bitterness no longer held your heart. I know there were moments when you questioned whether I was listening, because your prayers did not immediately change your circumstances. But prayer is not only about changing what surrounds you, it is also about strengthening what is being formed within you. While you waited, your spirit grew stronger, your discernment became sharper, and your compassion reached deeper than before. You became someone who understands the pain of others, someone who sees people with greater mercy, and someone who carries humility instead of pride. Those are not small things. They are qualities that matter deeply in what comes next. But hear me clearly now. Although this season of suffering was allowed, it was never meant to become permanent. Preparation has its limit. Refinement has its completion. Every season of growth eventually reaches its appointed end. You have reached the place where this process has accomplished what it was meant to accomplish. You were never created to remain beneath this weight forever. And I am not asking you to endure more in order to prove your faith. Your endurance has already spoken. There may still be moments you cannot fully understand. Certain conversations, losses, closed doors, or endings may continue to raise questions in your heart. That is all right. Understanding does not always arrive before the transition begins. Sometimes clarity comes while you are walking forward instead of while you are standing still. Trust me when I tell you that nothing in your journey happened without purpose. Even the moments that seemed unnecessary will one day reveal their place. Do not allow regret to grow where growth has already taken root. Do not accuse yourself for staying too long or for hoping too deeply. You acted according to what you knew in those moments, and I remained with you through every decision, every hesitation, and every step. You chose patience instead of retaliation. You chose love instead of resentment. I have never measured your journey by how quickly you moved. I measure it by your faithfulness, and you remained faithful even when you were weary. Now I am asking you to release the belief that pain will always be your teacher. The lesson has been learned. The season has changed. I am not leading you into another cycle of endless endurance. I am leading you into renewal. What lies ahead is an invitation to live, to receive, to rest, and to walk in what has already been prepared for you. Release the fear that tells you every blessing will eventually be taken away. Let go of the habit of bracing yourself for disappointment. That was how you learned to survive, but it is not the future I am speaking over you. You are not destined to remain in this chapter. You are stepping beyond it. The suffering accomplished what it was permitted to accomplish, but it no longer has authority to define what comes next. I allowed this season for a time, but I am not allowing it to continue. I speak now because its purpose has been fulfilled. I move now because the work of preparation is complete. You were never abandoned during the process, and you are certainly not forgotten now. Everything you walked through mattered, but it no longer has the final word over your life. This chapter is closing, not because you escaped it, but because you grew through it. As we continue forward together, you will carry only what strengthens you, and leave behind everything that no longer belongs with you. My beloved child, listen with a heart that is quiet and ready to receive. This moment marks a turning point that cannot be undone. I speak without uncertainty or hesitation, because my authority comes from heaven itself. I have watched every tear, every prayer, and every silent act of endurance. And now heaven has spoken, the decision has been made, the verdict has been established. You have suffered long enough. This season has reached its appointed end, and it will continue no longer than I permit. These are not empty words meant only to comfort you for a moment. This is my decree. This is a conclusion written by my hand and sealed by my authority. The suffering that refined you, strengthened you, and tested your faith has completed its purpose. It will not follow you into what comes next. I am not bargaining with the pain or asking it to grow smaller. I am bringing it to its end. What was permitted for a season is now dismissed by my word. I know how long these days have felt, how heavy the nights became, and how often you wondered whether the line between what had been and what was still to come would ever appear. That line is being drawn now. The season that asked you to endure without understanding is closing. The chapter that demanded strength beyond what you believed you possessed is ending. I am not delaying this declaration, nor am I asking you to wait through another test of patience. I am telling you that this season has reached its completion. When heaven speaks, my word is never casual or temporary. What I establish remains firm. I have seen what this season has cost your heart, your mind, your body, and your spirit. I have seen how faithfully you carried burdens that were heavier than you should have borne, and I have seen you continue to trust even when relief seems slow to come. Your faithfulness has been seen. Your endurance has been honored. Now the time has come for release. Say Amen. I believe He's working behind the scenes even when I cannot see the outcome. Then share this video.